Hey everyone, welcome back to Catching Up with the Walkers. Thanks so much for tuning back in again today. If you're still with us at this point, you must like us a little bit because you just keep coming back.
Yeah, we have been blown away about how many of you have watched our videos. Usually, if you have 1,000 subscribers, a couple hundred might watch your video. Usually not, if you have 1,000 subscribers, usually don't get 1,000 views. But we have had almost as many views as we have subs, and that's pretty cool. So we truly appreciate that.
So today we wanted to touch a topic that has really impacted our lives year over year over year. And it's something that probably touches each and every one of you in some form or fashion. And that topic is credit cards. So this is just probably a couple days worth right here. I got a stack that need to be burned because they're all credit card offers. We don't actually have any credit cards, and we haven't had any credit cards for a number of years. And so that's what we wanted to talk about today was why. Why do we not have credit cards, and why do we try to stay away from credit cards as much as possible?
Yeah, and if our kids were on here, if we asked them what you do with credit card offers that come in the mail, what would they say, Gary?
Well, that leads to a story that I wanted to tell. That leads to a story I wanted to tell. So want me to go ahead and tell it?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So it was how long ago? How old was Ranger?
Probably 2.
So when Ranger was about 2 years old, we went to a restaurant in Pryor called Chili's. Some of you are probably pretty familiar with Chili's. And we were in there, and they had just got these little kiosks in that you could play games on. So you walk up, sit down in your booth, your table, whatever it is. They have a little kiosk, and you can swipe a credit card to play games. And Ranger had been listening pretty well because we had went through Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace class, and we had been bent against credit cards. We were wholeheartedly against credit cards. And so one thing I'd heard, and I'd repeated it, was if you get a credit card, you're out of the will. And Ranger, I'm sure, didn't understand what that meant, but he just knew that if you had a credit card, you were out of the will.
Yeah, and he talked really well very early on.
Yeah, he
so at the age of 2, like, we had full out conversations.
Yeah, really well. So we were sitting down in this booth, and the table next to us, a lady said, "Hey, I can't get this machine to work. It won't let me play any games." And the lady from behind the bar area, she yelled at the other lady and said, "Hey, you got to use your credit card." And Ranger looked at me and he said, "Dad, she's out of the will." And I said, "Son, she was never in the will, so we don't have to worry about that." But it was pretty funny, and it was one of those moments that I kind of look back and see that I hope that it shaped him and shaped us for the rest of our lives. Because in that moment, and now, we still talk about it with him. So hopefully he learned that, just as the Bible says, the borrower is slave to the lender. And that's something that we kind of take to heart. And one of the reasons that we don't want credit cards.
Yeah, so that was kind of also a moment that we realized that kids do listen, even if they're little. Kids are listening, they're paying attention. They may not know exactly what things mean, but they are listening and are paying attention. So now, if we get a credit card offer in the mail, the kids automatically know that we rip it up. We don't even open it. We don't even think about it. We just rip it up, and they enjoy ripping those up and doing that.
But it wasn't always like that. So when Cassie and I got married and when we started out, we had credit cards. We thought it was normal. We thought that everybody had a credit card and everybody had to have one just in case of an emergency, or if you were traveling and you wanted to book a flight or something like that. We thought it was normal. Everybody had a credit card. You may use it, you may not. You never want to keep a big balance on it, we thought. But that got tricky because as time went on, one credit card turned into 2 credit cards turned into 3.
Well, not just Visa credit cards, but you go to Lowe's. Would you like to save 10%? You go to the shoe store. Would you like to save 15%? So those are the ones that start stacking up, and before you know it, you got a card for everywhere you go. And I was a swiper. If my check was in the bank, swipe it and buy it. So I had a shoe problem. We can talk about that sometimes. Gary, when we got together, he was like, how many pairs of shoes do one person need? But if the shoe store, if I got their saved 10%, then I would buy 25 pairs of shoes that I don't need. So it just becomes a problem.
So for Cassie, if the shoe fit, she bought it. And there's a lot of shoes that tend to fit. So that was just part of the reason that we wanted to separate. It's just so big in marketing. And us as consumers in our country are marketed all the time. You know that. If you're watching this video, you might even be getting a commercial. It may even be for a credit card, since we're talking about
Yeah.
credit cards right now.
Someone asked the other day if we pick commercials on Walker Farm Fam, because the commercial they got was kind of weird, and they were like, do you guys pick that? No, we have nothing to do with that.
So we don't pick commercials, and we definitely don't pick commercials for credit cards. And if you're watching a credit card commercial, I give you all the permission to skip it. Skip. Because what they can do, they can start off as something just, innocent. I'm going to pay that off all the time. Mm-hmm. And before you know it, it can get out of control.
When we were building our house, it was very tempting to get a credit card to get points on for buying things and get some free trips or from free airline or whatever. And we know people that have done that, and they paid it off automatically, to each their own. But for us, it didn't make sense for us to do that, because we've said no to credit cards. How long have we been married?
For over 10 years, we cut up our credit cards.
Yeah, so for us to say, oh, well, the exception is, and show that to our children as you can justify things. So that would set a bad example of, well, when it benefits us, we'll justify it. So to set an example for our kids, we weren't going to say, we will not do credit cards, and then, we will do it just for this time being. So when we built the house, we said absolutely not, and we didn't do it.
And I've never actually met any really wealthy person, like any millionaires, that said, I was doing okay, I was making it, until I got that American Airlines points on my Discover card, and that was it. That was the moment that I became a millionaire. No, that's not how it works. So our goal, and a lot of this we learned in Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace class, but we're just mainly talking about credit cards right now. But a lot of it goes back to the best way to have money is to keep your money. So earn it, keep it, and not give it away by paying interest to banks or to credit card companies. Because whenever you pay interest, it is free money that you're just giving away, flying right out of your pocket.
Yeah, and if we're going to make a purchase, we shouldn't go there banking on, well, if we get that 10%, we can actually afford it. When we go there, we should have the money, the cash, to be able to pay for it, because if not, then we can't afford it and we don't need it. So it's a little bit of self-discipline. We want a new computer. So we could go and get that discount, put it on a credit card, make payments, and get it. Or we could be disciplined for a few months and save money, go pay cash, and we're done with it. So everyone's different on how they look at things. But for us, we would rather save the money, go pay for it, and be done with, than say, well, a little money here, a little money there, and we pay on it for however long. So that's just personal preference, but we also feel like because we have done that, it has also helped us in the long run. Yeah,
and there are a couple of things that go along with this. So in order to not depend on a credit card. So say you're sitting there right now and you're depending on that credit card for your emergency fund. What if my transmission goes out in my car? What if my air conditioner unit goes out? I have to have that as my emergency. So the first thing that we did before we were able to cut up the credit cards and get rid of that was build up an emergency fund. So we always have enough cash sitting there in the bank. We both worked full-time. We had full-time jobs, and we were able to do that, and we were able to save that up and have it there. So I know that may be the biggest barrier for some people, but if you can just start putting a little bit of cash back every month, just save it, pretend it's not there, until you get that number to a margin that you're comfortable with, and having that margin in place will really help if you do want or have a desire to get rid of a credit card. And I know that everybody that watching this is going to say this. Some of you are saying, man, I thought they were decent people. I agree with them up until this point. And that's okay. You don't have to agree with us. We're just sharing our perspective and what's helped us up in life to this point.
Yeah, like Gary said, emergency fund. We got a $1,000 emergency fund before we moved on in our Dave Ramsey plan. That can look like a different thing for each person, but $1,000 is a lot of money. If the car messes up, we can pay for it. Now we don't have to bank on that credit card. A lot of people say, well, if you don't have credit, you can't do nothing. But with Dave Ramsey's plan, which we could talk about for days, if you do the things he has, those things aren't important.
Yeah, we might talk about a credit score at some other point, because it's more or less just your relationship with the bank and a reflection of that. But this is really just about credit cards. So that's really all we wanted to cover. There's a lot of other stuff that helped us along the way, like getting our cash, putting it in little envelopes that we kept when we went to the grocery store or when we went to the gas station.
And
that
if the
helped
cash
us.
wasn't there, you didn't do it.
Yeah, that helped us a ton, especially with not swiping a card. But as far as credit cards go, for us, it's a no-no. And we're teaching our kids the same thing. The borrower is slave to the lender. The rich rule over the poor. And those things come out of the Bible. And it is very hard to get ahead if you're constantly making somebody else wealthy by paying them a lot of interest. Everybody's different. And it's a lot of it, I think, is how you were raised too. I know that a lot of personal finance wasn't even taught in schools. And it really is foundational in how you live the rest of your life. So we feel like it's something important. We've purchased materials for our kids to learn as they grow, and that's age appropriate. But for us, no credit cards.
Yeah, I was taught nothing about personal finance until I was 22 years old and I took the Dave Ramsey class. So if you weren't taught it in school, if it wasn't a major subject in your family, then how are you supposed to learn how would you know other than everybody's got credit cards, let's do it.
Trial and error. At college, there's a little table out there with vultures that are sitting there trying to give a college kid a credit card.
Probably somebody on here that's credit card worker person. What would that be called?
I don't know.
Like you work for Visa?
Wait, they're just doing their job.
We still love y'all.
They're just doing their job. But at the same time, if they can stay away from it, I feel like it's best.
Yep.
So now we're going to move on past credit cards. If we made some of you mad, I'm sorry, but thank you for staying with us. And now we're going to do a little catching up with the Walkers. So what's been going on around here, and what have we discussed since our last video?
Yeah, I think the last video on Walker Farm Fam was when you and Ransom went to the auction, and when our goat shelter was supposed to be delivered, but it wasn't. And you guys got me a new brooder heater. So the brooder heater is in place, working well. Lots of new baby chicks. Ducks should be any time, like overnight, tomorrow. Turkeys, just put them in not too long ago. So, that was in that video too, me putting the turkey eggs in. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where we're at with the hatching stuff. I keep telling Gary when I get all this lined out, I'm going to take a break from hatching for a little bit.
I think it's going to get too hot. So I don't really think the shop's going to smell very good with a bunch of baby chickens in there.
So, but
it might be too hot for them.
It's hard not to. It's just so fun to see the progression of the egg and then watch them hatch and all that. Like, it's just fun.
Yeah, just the smell.
They are smelling.
The smell will get worse when the heat gets warmer. So I think we should probably put a timer on it at some point. Mm-hmm. But just work on that. So as far as the auction goes.
Which is another good reason on why you shouldn't have too many credit cards. You won't be able to afford things at the auction.
Cassie would buy all the chicken stuff with her credit card. If she had one, that would have a high limit because she would continuously spend large amounts.
Supply credit card?
Probably. So the auction that we went to, and a lot of people commented on that video about what a great deal it was. Yeah. I thought it was a horrible deal. So I thought 8.5 acres, probably say 80s model, 90s. Nah, it's probably a 90s model, 2000 model, double wide trailer that was used, well used. Still a nice home.
Used.
Nice home for somebody though. It was solid. I mean, there wasn't anything structurally wrong with it. 8.5 acres shop, and it sold for $155,000. Now, I'm just going on what I saw things sell for when I was in the market 3 years ago, 5 years ago, trying to buy stuff. And I think that house would have sold for around $100,000 at auction. And then it may have got $120,000 if it would have been put with a realtor and been shined up and all that.
But also, all those people that said that was an awesome deal weren't from Northeast Oklahoma.
Yeah, you guys are, a lot of you are from out of state, and you
Cost
say
of living is different. Property's different. Now you go to Tulsa and you want 1 acre in a fancy neighborhood, you're going to give like $45,000 for that. So that's not even comparable, because that's talking about nice neighborhood with a gated community, all that. 8 acres here with what it had to offer is a different thing. But also 8 acres here is different than 8 acres in Wyoming.
Yeah, so it was you know, probably a decent deal if somebody was really looking for it and in the market, especially.
And if you got the cash? No.
Yeah, if you're not putting it on a credit card, especially if you now I will say this: a mortgage, I have no issue with the mortgage.
Yeah.
I think owning a home and owning property, a farm, whatever you can get a mortgage on, but
mortgage that is not out of your
a mortgage
scale.
that fits your budget. That's 15-year fixed rate mortgage. If you can afford that, that's great. That's a percentage, about 25% of your income.
My cup's empty. We're gonna have to wrap this up.
My cup is not empty, and my cup is smaller than hers today. So just for the record, I know some of you guys are paying attention to my cups. I don't know why. If you have a fascination with cup, or maybe
You
me.
always put it in the camera.
Yeah, I guess. This was a whole set. We have a whole set of these, so I can break this one, and I got to back
And
up.
people have been asking about these. I was trying to make it focus. This one says caffeine, but these are Ray Dung. These are Ray Dunn and my favorite mugs, and I have a little collection of them. So
Yeah.
on with the show.
So that was a okay deal. Land prices here in Oklahoma have skyrocketed, which you all said, and I was kind of glad to hear that from across the nation, that land prices are crazy everywhere. So everybody's buying, everybody's getting a really low interest rate right now, which makes them be able to buy more, which drives the housing market. You know, it's a seller's market, so to speak. So that kind of led to that topic, but I hope you guys enjoyed. If you didn't go, just check out our last video on Walker Farm Fam. If you didn't go along with us to the auction, I thought it was interesting.
Yep.
It was interesting to me. I really enjoy that type of thing.
I love auctions, but I was at work, so I didn't get to go, but I love to go to auctions.
Yeah, and Ransom went with me because I took the day off because the goat shelter was supposed to be installed. Well, I'm going to ruin it for you if you didn't watch the video. It did not get installed, and they backed out on us on that day, but we did get it.
Alert.
Yeah, we did get it installed. So stay tuned for that video. I think it'll probably be out this coming Friday of the brand new goat shelter. They're going to be all settled in soon.
Yeah, so lots of things in the past, in the future. What we got going on in the future?
So as far as future videos go, if you follow along on Instagram, you probably already Facebook, you already got a preview. Our daughter Mazzy got baptized Sunday, and we could not be more proud of her. It was such an exciting time and such a important choice for her in her life. It is the most important choice she will ever make.
Yep.
And she was able to get baptized, and it was awesome.
Yeah, she's been talking about it for a little while. When she started talking about it was like after or right before the pandemic, and then the pandemic happened, and we didn't get to go to church for a while. And then I wasn't really sure if she was ready. She gets nervous about things, and going backwards into a tub of water is something that you get anxious about when you have that when you deal with that kind of stuff. So we've been talking about it and prepping her and things like that. And we told her when she was ready, we would, let her do it. And she hadn't mentioned it for a while. And then a friend of hers at church got baptized the week before, and she said, "Mama, did you sign me up for that?" So we went and talked to the preacher, and then the following Sunday, she got baptized, and she almost backed out, but I didn't let her. And she's so excited. And if you haven't saw the video on Facebook and Instagram, you need to be watching for it on YouTube on Walker Farm Fam, because her reaction after it was real cute.
yeah, that's something to look forward to this week, along with the goat shelter. And we did one more build, didn't we? We built something brand new to enable Cassie's
brand new with old stuff.
Yeah, brand new with old stuff to enable Cassie getting more animals for the farm.
He blames it on me, but it's him.
So stay tuned for that, because we
got some big exciting news on some new animals.
Yeah.
That we've had before, but we haven't had them we haven't had them currently. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
I'm sure they know what it is.
Clear as glass.
I think there's one on my hat.
Yeah. You should know what it is.
Is there one on my hat?
Let me see. Yes.
So
we're both repping our Adler Farms.
Yeah, I
merch
sat
today,
down and I saw his shirt and I said, I got an Adler Farm hat on.
And Farm on Route 66. So two of my favorite channels. I have a lot of favorites, but two of my favorites, Adler Farms and the Farm on Route 66.
Yeah. Well, looks like it's about time to wrap this up. If you're still watching, then you're a true fan of ours, and hopefully you're not mad, because we talked about credit cards. Money's a sore subject with a lot of people, but money is also one of the biggest things that couples fight about. And in our 14 years of marriage, I think so.
I don't know. It's been a while.
Yeah.
A good while.
Yes. We have never once fought about money. So why? Not because we're perfect, but because we got on the same page before we got married. We decided these are our goals. This is what we want to achieve. These are the things we will and won't do. And it's never been a question since then. Now, we'll be driving down the road and we see a brand new vehicle that we know we can't afford. And the joke is, hey, that'll be mine in 5 or 6 years, because then it'll be in the price range that we can afford.
And it might have 100,000 miles on it.
But one day we will go buy a brand new vehicle with cash.
And if we don't, I'm okay with that.
Say no. But that's not the most important thing in life. But everyone looks at it differently. Everyone has different goals. But we just wanted to encourage people and continue to tell our story that you don't always have to do what's popular. You don't always have to do what everybody else does. There are other things that you can do. If you have never heard anything about this, I encourage you to find Dave Ramsey on Instagram, Facebook. He's
everywhere on social media now, so
yeah, he's
not hard
got
to find him.
Podcasts. He's got his own radio show.
Yeah, and you probably won't agree with everything he says.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you at least listen and with an open mind, there's usually a lot of good in the message that you can take away.
Yeah, so check it out. If you think we are crazy, check it out, see what he has to say. But it has absolutely been life-changing. In 14 years of marriage, we've never had a money argument. I mean, I've yelled at him for throwing his clothes on the floor.
Now, that was a video idea I had, is what was our biggest fight? And we'll cover that one day. So look for that on a future Catching Up with the Walkers.
What was it?
We'll talk about it.
It wasn't to do with money.
You have to stay tuned.
It's probably to do with food. Do you have one in mind? No, I know when it was.
No,
it was when we were videoing a YouTube video last year, and you hit me with a piece of wood in the leg.
Nope.
In the shin.
That's not it. So we'll talk about it off camera, and we'll get back with you about our biggest fight ever.
I'm sure it was his fault.
It wasn't very big, but we'll still talk about it.
Now I want to turn this off so I can find out. Thank you guys so much for watching. We love you guys. If you haven't, make sure you subscribe. Hit that bell for notification. Give us a big thumbs up. Thumbs up means Cassie's always right. Thumbs down means Gary's.
No, we don't want
Kidding.
thumbs down.
Kidding.
We have all thumbs downs.
Because they'll say you're right.
That's what I said.
You guys have a great, great day, and God bless.